Patrick Johnson, welcome to the Johncast. Glad to have you here today.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be here.
So, for our audience, Patrick Johnson is a local Athens Limestone well known athlete, set many state records in the state of Alabama for kicking. Also went on to play at Vanderbilt University, the Commodores. Go Doors.
Go Doors, anchor down.
You don't hear that a lot down here. A lot of Roll Tides and War Eagles, not many Go Doors. So, God bless you for that. But you set a lot of records down here. You went on and had a pretty successful career at Vanderbilt. Most of all, got your education paid for. That's a big deal. And so we're here today to talk to you to kind of figure out how does one become successful as you've become successful with the kicking and how it took you so far, and maybe to dig into a little bit of your background of what drives you in that. So welcome. We're glad you could come here today. I appreciate you spending some time with me. And without further ado, tell us a little bit about how one gets into kicking the pigskin.
Oh man, if I had to really trace it back, it would probably go back to 1990.
Man, did they have light bulbs then, or was that more of the candlelight or
That we had the phones on the wall that you turned and had to dial it up.
the
So
rotary?
rotary phone. I was even before AOL, Instant Messenger.
So you're an '83 kid, so that puts you about 7 years old, roughly. So you started
Yeah,
out early. So was this a soccer thing? Did you play soccer?
yeah. I played all the normal kid sports. Baseball, soccer, basketball.
Yeah.
Pretty good at soccer as I matured and went on. But yeah, 1990, Alabama played in Neyland Stadium. Just a defensive struggle. Philip Doyle kicks a 50-yard field goal for Alabama to beat Tennessee 9-6, and I was like, "That's stinking cool. I want to do that."
So you saw Philip Doyle kicking for the Crimson Tide,
I did.
won a ball game. Was it in Tuscaloosa? You said it was in Neyland
It
Stadium.
was.
So he was in Tuscaloosa.
No, it was in Neyland.
Is Neyland. So silence in the crowd, and there was just something about that you thought that would be pretty cool to do
Yep.
as a 7-year-old.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool to think about as seven. I'm trying to think back what I was thinking about when I remember being about 6 years old watching the '92 Crimson Tide with George Teague running down the sideline and stripping the Miami receiver. But I didn't think when I watched that, like, man, I want to be George Teague and go be a defensive back. But
You tried to anyway.
I did try. You're right. I did try to do that down the road. But this isn't about me. This is about you. So started out early, had a background of playing soccer, and you got inspired by watching a little bit of the Crimson Tide on TV, and so you thought, man, maybe Dad give me a football or something. Like, how's that come about? You have that
Yeah, I mean,
conversation, or
we grew up in the South in Alabama. Football's a big deal, especially SEC football. Didn't really have a pro team, so something as you grow up, you want to get involved with to some extent. And I thought that might be the right avenue for me. So yeah, we got us a little football. We started kicking over the swing set in the backyard. Got a little bigger. I started kicking over the power lines.
so I don't remember. And for the audience, we are brothers. I'm going to act like I don't know him a ton, just so I can ask some questions here. But I don't remember Dad sitting out there with you holding the ball a lot. Did you have a tee, or how did you?
Yeah, one of those old school orange tees, which is actually made for the straight on kicker. It's not even made for a soccer style
It
kicker.
had the little treads in it, kind of had
Yeah,
three legs on it, or whatever.
I can't even find those anymore.
I remember that. Yeah, they used to have those all the time on pros. You'd see them kicking with the orange
But yeah,
trees.
some kids, they get the stick, and some kids shoot BB guns, and I go kick field goals over the swing set. I don't know.
Huh. So you would do that. I mean, you just enjoyed doing it.
Yep.
Well, so 7, 8, 9. I guess you're kicking over goal. When I guess the swing sets. Do you progress to something else? Do you get Dad to get you a small goalpost? How does it? I mean, how do you?
Yeah, man.
Did you play football? Did you play like running back or anything? Any like midgets
No,
or
I
anything
never
like that?
played football.
Never played pee wee, midget, none of that.
No, just soccer, baseball.
And kicking over goalpost.
Yeah. Then the power lines. That was graduation.
So you'd go down to the road and kick over power lines or something,
Yeah,
right up to
just
the
a
house.
little higher. Um, but our elementary school had a kind of a, I don't know, antiquated football field. Still had the old,
Yeah,
H,
Owens.
the
That's right.
H frame
Hmm.
field goal post. So we'd go down there as I got a little older, kick on Sunday afternoon, and I just kind of taught myself how to do it.
So you kind of progressed from kicking over goalposts or kicking over swing sets to challenging yourself a little bit to kick over power lines, and then Dad started taking you down to Owens Field, which was an old football field, and you just started saying, "Hey, seeing what you could do, huh?"
Yeah.
How old were you then? Probably 10 or 11, maybe.
Yeah.
About fifth, sixth grade,
It's
something
kind
like
of like
that.
going, Sunday afternoon drive or going fishing on a Saturday. That's what we
Well,
would do. We'd go
you,
spend time doing that.
you've got quite this story of how you started kicking in high school. Um, I know in seventh grade you kind of got, was it seventh or eighth grade you started getting some notoriety just from the PE class, right?
Yeah, I got noticed right before spring training in seventh grade. So I'm kind of a end of the seventh grade year, going into eighth grade the next next school year.
So were you just out there screwing around and Coach sees it? And
Yes,
this is
yeah,
at West Limestone, right? A
yeah. This
3A, 4A school.
Yeah, I think we are 3A at that point in time. West Limestone.
Jeff Pugh was coach, if
He
I'm
was a
not
coach. He's
mistaken.
also the PE teacher. So he saw us out there, trying to manage a bunch of rowdy
Right.
middle school kids. But we're playing, pickup football in the PE class, and I'm doing the punting, I'm doing the kicking. And he said, "Well, what do we have here?" And he said, "Hey, why don't you come out to spring training? It starts next week or something."
And you're thinking you might play JV or something, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, man, I don't know. I've never played football. I don't know if I want to. You got to be tough.
Sure.
I don't know if I want to get hit. All these thoughts going through your head.
Because you
So
didn't really know what entailed being a kicker, really, did you? I mean, you knew you kicked, but you didn't know
no, I
like
knew
a
not.
position really
No, I
that
knew
well.
nothing. It's a lot. It's a lot easier to. It's a lot different doing it in your backyard than doing it for real. So yeah, he invited me to come out and took him up on that offer and started kicking in practice. And come to find out, their incumbent kicker was like a D lineman who's like 280 pounds and had no interest in kicking. They just did it because somebody's got to kick an extra point.
Straight on guy, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. One of the probably last few, in the late '90s, still straight on kicking. So between that summer, seventh grade into eighth grade, they kind of ceded that varsity kicking position to me. And through execution and practice, I gained confidence that I could do it.
So what's it like going through spring training as a, I guess, 12, 13-year-old kid with the varsity team? You got grown men out there, 18 years old. I mean, do you even know what to expect? They put the line up first, or they just push you off to the side? How did they handle that
I
logistically?
don't think they knew how to handle me.
Because it seems like it would be kind of overwhelming, right? To be out there with that speed, never have kicked before. And well, in that type of
Well,
environment.
I mean, really, it wasn't that much different than later on in my life. I mean, the kicker, nobody knows what to do with a kicker.
Yeah.
Go kick. So they were on the practice field. They sent me over the game field with my holder, and we go kick. Me and another guy.
And that's during spring training. Did you have team activities at all? Did y'all
Yeah,
kind of do
once or
team?
twice a week we'd get together and snap 5 or 10. Probably not even live, but just simulate a snap. Sometimes you do it for practice. You get 5-10 minutes because special teams in high school, at least then, was, and you see it now. These state championship teams, they're not focused on special teams.
All right.
It's an afterthought. So anytime you can carve out with a snapper and the holder and do the whole operation is pretty precious time.
Well, so you get done with spring training. You made it through, so you're part of the team. I'm guessing at this point.
Yeah, and there's still some ambiguity. It's like, are they really going to have me kick? I think they were toying with the idea. Is they going? We don't have a kicker. I
Right.
think you could kick. Is it even legal? Is it an eighth grader to kick on varsity?
Okay, so you go from seventh grade to eighth grade in the fall now.
Yeah, we're going through summer. Do the 3 a days and
3 days.
well, it was a
You get
film session in there, but it sounded cooler than 2 days.
you get
So
sued nowadays trying to do 3 days.
yeah,
Don't make them like they used to. You know what they say.
no, we were over there all day though. Rusty Bates come pick me up in the morning since I was 13, couldn't drive, and
Mhm.
he was our coach, one of our coaches. So he'd take me over and we'd stay all day, man. We'd practice in the morning, either watch film or lift during lunch, and we'd have another practice in the evening.
Wow.
So I kind of got integrated into the team through that.
So you're on the team. You're doing summer workouts. Comes fall camp. Are you thinking, "Hey, I'm the man," or are you thinking like maybe they'll do me some JV stuff?
I
Or
think sometime between the end of the summer and fall camp starting, you're the dude.
and so are you naive enough as a 13-year-old to be like, okay, cool. Or
Uh,
like, did you know what all of that entailed? I guess is my question.
no, I
As a
knew nothing.
13-year-old.
I do remember a conversation. My dad's super excited, right?
Yeah.
I'm the dude.
He's like, man, I got something special
My
going
mom's
on here.
scared to death.
Is she?
Yeah, she's like, "Well, he's so young. What if he fails?
Mm.
What if can he come back from it
She was worried about your psyche.
or physical? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm 13. I'm 100 and 20 pounds,
Yeah.
maybe. These guys are grown men. But I remember hearing that, and I was like, screw that. I'm gonna make this work.
So you kind of
I'm
had,
not gonna fail.
so you overheard mom and dad discussing. Dad, of course, is excited. And mom's like, well, what if he fails? And you thought, hell with that.
That's it.
I'm not going to fail.
Right.
I'm going to kick the piss out of this ball.
I'm going to go get it.
So that helped motivate you a little bit, that doubt, I guess, or that option of failure is like, well, it's not an option for me, is what you're thinking.
Yeah. When kind of it faced against a little fear, it motivates me.
Yeah. Okay. So you're at West Limestone, you're kicking the cows in the pasture. What does that look like? I mean, I know you had a good leg. Were you super powerful or is it just super accurate at this point, you feel like?
Well, kind of left that apart. Between that 7th and 8th grade year, I went to the Alabama kicking camp at the university.
Just for fun, or
No, kind of to figure out where I stacked up.
okay.
Was I really? I think that was kind of the litmus test.
Oh, I got you. So you went through
So,
spring practice, and then in summer, you're like, okay, well, let's see where I'm at.
yeah, and I had a mentor, Bill Davis. He kicked at Alabama
Yeah, Dennis.
back in the
Dennis.
70s. I think
Yeah, he's
one
a
in,
Bear Bryant guy, right?
right. So he encouraged me to go to that camp and see if you're ready.
Yeah.
See where you stack up against these other kids in the Southeast, because that's what you're looking at is kind of the creme de la creme of the Southeast come to these SEC camps. And
Sure.
so I went down there and actually won the kicking camp in the competition part on the last day.
Wow.
So I
Did it
think,
surprise yourself a little bit, or that gave you a ton of confidence?
man,
I'm sure.
I just didn't know anybody. I didn't know what anyone else could. I knew what I could do. I had no idea what anyone else could do. I didn't
Who
know.
was teaching it? Was it Van Tiffen teaching that camp, or Doyle, or who was that?
Van Tiffen was there. Trying to think who else was
Michael
there.
Proctor, wasn't he down there or something like that?
Yeah, when he didn't stay out too late the night before.
He was a punter though too,
Oh,
right?
he was kicker.
Oh, okay. Michael Proctor.
I actually had Jake Arians was my coach.
I don't
Know whose son he is?
No.
Bruce Arians.
Oh wow.
Bruce Arians, I think he was maybe OC at Alabama at that time,
Oh my goodness.
and Jake was the kicker at UAB. But obviously they had a little tie there,
That's pretty
little fun tidbit.
small world.
But anyway, I didn't know where what's expected of a kick. You kick the ball and you make it, right? Like from a certain distance. So went down there, did that camp, and man, I was just shooting fish in a barrel. Couldn't miss. So get that on your resume, give the coach a little confidence, give your parents some confidence. So we entered that fall year like, okay, we think he can do it. So let's give him a shot, put him on the field.
So you dress out and first game, what's that like? I mean,
oh man, I was nervous as all get. I'd never been on a football field, period. Not pee-wee, not nothing.
Didn't know what to expect pregame, nothing. Like everything was brand new pretty much.
No, and in practice, you got your snapper snapping it, holder holding it, put it on the tee, spinning the laces, all that stuff. I ain't never had nobody run at me. I never had anyone yell at, screaming at you before the snap. So that was all kind of a rude awakening, but you just kind of fall back on your preparation. Luckily, that first game was on our home field. I'd kicked hundreds of balls on that home field, both end zones.
Who'd you play, just out of curiosity?
Clements High School.
Clements Colts.
So we had cows in the north end zone in the pasture. So you kick it over the fence and you're in the cow pasture. So I spent a lot of time with those cows. Some of my fondest childhood memories out there by myself kicking field goals with those cows.
You just enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
This is like some people enjoy doing Legos. Like you like kicking footballs.
Yep. Huh. And in the south end zone, we had a 55-gallon drum, and that was my target. And I could drop it in that thing too.
You could drop it in a 55-gallon drum?
From 37 yards, I could.
So you knew exactly how. So you were like just methodically machine-like at that point. Like you knew what your body could do, you knew what you had to do certain things, and you could just repeat it over and over and over.
That was probably the most accurate I ever was as a kicker as in 8th grade.
Really?
Yep.
Well, so that season, do you remember kicking in the Clements games at all?
Yeah, we were getting beat down, man. I don't remember the score. I used to remember all the scores, but we were getting beat down. We scored late, so I got a chance to go in.
So it's a good game to kind of get warmed up in the light.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went out there and they put the ball on the tee, and it's just like muscle memory. Boom. Knocked it right through.
Probably the highlight of the night for the team.
It probably was. Probably was.
Clements was probably thinking, why are they cheering for this extra point?
Oh, they knew. It was in the newspaper. And these guys like, oh, this little kid, let's go ruin his day. Let's go rough him up.
So you heard some of that chatter.
So I had all kinds of, well, they're going to hit you late. They're going to, they're going to block it, all this stuff. But
did you kick off too?
No. That was kind of I think a Jeff Pugh and my mom agreement that not going to be out there during kickoffs as a young 8th grader.
So that was your vulnerability, and they kind of took care of you in that way.
They did.
Asset.
I think we did toy around with doing a pooch kick against Tanner because those boys could fly.
Yeah.
But we never did it in the game. But I did kick 2 field goals in that game. So
Well, and so we'll continue on. Had a pretty successful year. I mean, you anything basically other than you quitting the team would have been successful at that point. Getting on the field, getting the play, getting the kicks, getting the reps in. As an eighth grader, I would say it was a phenomenally successful year
well,
for
and
you.
I think I matured too through the season from okay, we can make an extra point. We can make an extra point consistently. We can rely on this guy to make an extra point. And then I remember the Tanner game. I think I opened the game with a field goal, 35 yards. So we're up 3-0.
So it was
So it kind of became okay. This could be an asset that we didn't have.
so some super huge growth that year.
Yeah.
In the year, on a bad note, had a catastrophic leg break in warm-ups against your rival Ardmore, if I remember correctly. I think I was chasing some girls or playing with my friends, but I remember you being ambulanced off the field, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's just a sloppy field. Kind of got tangled up with another guy, and 9 times out of 10 would have been a ACL blowout, and ended up a spiral femur fracture.
As a 13, 14-year-old kid,
Yeah.
and had to have a rod inserted through the femur, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it's kind of a twisting fracture. So what they do is go in and clean it up. They put a rod in because your femur is segmented in two
To hold it
pieces.
back together,
Put a titanium rod in there through the bone marrow.
Sheesh.
Screws in the hip, screws in the knee, and it holds it together. And eventually, those two pieces of bone grow back together.
So this failure that your mom talked about,
Yeah,
and you said, "Hell no, I'm not going to fail. It's not an option." You have a wildly successful inaugural year on a varsity team. Probably no business being out there as a young child, other than your talent,
right.
size wise, and everything else wouldn't match up. But your talent definitely matched up and helped the team to go to this low. You've broken your femur, right? So
Yeah.
what does that do psychologically? I mean, is it like, did you play the next year? Did you have to sit out a year? What was that road
So
like?
that was our last game. So I'd made like all my extra points. I think I went like 2 out of 3 on field goals. So I'd had a great year. And that was our last game. And, you know, I don't think anyone realized how serious that injury was because you got a femoral artery. And if you sever that puppy, you're bleeding out, especially back then. Like, you know what I mean? And we're in Ardmore. This ain't like we're in Gardendale.
You're talking an hour drive to Huntsville, right?
Yeah. I mean, and it was. That's where we went. Just excruciating pain. But I mean, they called in a good doctor. He took good care of me. Dr. How am I going to forget his name right now? It'll come back to me.
But you got some favor with the doctor. Sound like they called in a good guy for you.
Yeah, and they fixed me up that night, and just had no idea what the road to recovery would be. I remember being kind of like couch ridden for about a month. So I didn't have a cast. They put a rod in, and you just kind of manage. And after about a month, swelling goes down, and you get back to therapy. So you go from kind of rewind. Remember, Rusty Bates picked me up going to work out over at West Limestone, and we're squatting 135 pounds or whatever, and doing 80 pounds on the leg extension.
Just a healthy kid, right?
I remember getting on a stationary bike, and I couldn't go around. We were working on degrees of range of motion, and I was at like 20. I remember trying to do a leg extension with a 2-pound ankle weight on. Couldn't do it. So I had atrophied that much in a month.
So do you think, though, in your mind, are you like, I'm never going to play again? Or are you like, or were people encouraging you, like, you can get back? Like, did they give you hope, or was it more of like you just had to determine it yourself?
People were kind. They would come check on me. No one knew.
Yeah.
There was no, hey, you got this, or you're going to get better. Nobody knew.
So there was no, hey, we had so-and-so did the same thing 10 years ago, and man, he's in college kicking now, or
no.
Successful 3 or 4 years. So they didn't really know if you'd be normal, like walking wise, I guess, much less kicking.
That's kind of the focus. Hey, get back to walking. Okay, we're on the couch for a month. What do you do next? You're on crutches. So you're on crutches. Then you're on crutches, putting weight on it. Don't limp. Get rid of your limp. So I went through physical therapy for like 6 months just to get to walk without a limp.
Sheesh, man. So that puts you probably late spring.
Yeah, I think actually I was doing some light kicking that spring. I remember.
Holy cow!
I remember before spring training, they want to say,
was it your kicking leg or your plant leg?
It was my plant leg.
Okay,
which is probably good, all things considering. You need a little more range of motion on your kicking leg. But yeah, I went through therapy, and I just remember before spring training. So at some point, we graduated from the Owens antiquated football field, and my dad we built a PVC.
So you went back to Owens where you learned early on to
Well,
rehab
no,
and
I
learn
think to make it
again?
more convenient,
Because West was like a 30-minute drive.
it was
Owens was like a 7-minute drive.
yeah. So we would do that, but we actually built a PVC upright in the front yard.
Engineering dad, man.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
So we built
Does it
that.
still stand today?
Yes.
Partially.
Yeah. It's a little,
The ruins of the
yeah. It's like the
PVC.
Coliseum. It's a little wobbly, but we put it together, and so I think regulation high school upright's like 23 and a half feet wide.
Hmm.
I think we built this in like 10 or 12, so it was pretty tight. So it gave me a good target to practice on. But I remember going out there the first day. It was cold. It was in the winter, and starting to chip away at it again. And then I was healthy enough to
I mean,
participate in.
so you're talking a couple months after surgery you went out there, or it would have been in probably February. It's still cold, February, March.
Probably March. It's probably March. 'Cause
Had
I
one
think
of
spring
those
training is in May. Is that
had one of
right?
those cold, windy days. Yeah, that's right.
So it might have been closer to April. It was just
April.
right before. It's probably six. So it's probably six
So
months
did you
before I kicked
participate
again.
in spring training with those cats?
Yeah,
Wow,
and
very limited, I'm guessing.
no. Well, I was just kicking, right? So I wasn't running. I could do my thing, and I remember kicking about a 42 yarder in the spring game end of May. So 6 months removed from injury. Um,
So what does this do to you though? Do you realize that there's some limitations now, or are you like, man, I'm back 100%? Or
I was never back 100%.
so I've heard of athletes that were phenomenally fast and quick. They make it to college, whatever, but they're like, man, I think I'm good now. You should have seen me in 10th grade before I
Yeah,
rolled my ankle. I never got back. So you kind of had a little bit of that
John,
going
I
on.
could pick out the cow in the pasture I wanted to hit.
So your accuracy was just like
I could drop it in the
1%.
I could drop it in the barrel up on the hill.
So now could you do that?
No,
So you had strength, but you didn't have your accuracy.
right. I lost the degree of pinpoint accuracy. A lot of times you'll see kickers, usually right-footed kickers, that have a little draw, right to left draw.
Yeah.
Mine was just straight.
Hmm.
But as I started um, really learning to walk again, gaining muscles back in my legs, and going through the therapy, just kind of learning to kick again. But it was different.
Yeah.
Not bad, but it was just different. I had a little hook now,
So you learned to play
so
it.
I had to learn to play the hook. So,
It's like a golfer.
and that gave me I always in the back of your mind, I always knew what you were, and you wanted to strive to get there, but I just didn't. I couldn't get there. One reason, my left leg's 1.5 inches longer than my right leg now.
Wow.
Right, because the bone was separated, it
So Doc hooked
calcified.
you up, but Doc didn't measure you out probably.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's
Your bone. So that's just missing bone, basically.
That's so yeah. You take the two pieces of bones, you
So
put
they
the rod
shave it
in,
off and then put it in, and it regrows. But
it
it doesn't
regrows.
lengthen. It's just what
No, it
it
did
is.
lengthen.
Okay.
So you got the bone separated over time. It calcifies. So
So
that's new
that
bone.
I got you. So that other leg's a little bit longer than your.
Yeah. If you ever see me like in a picture or something, my shoulders are higher on my left side.
Wow.
So anyway, I had to live and acknowledge I'm not going to be what I was, and that's okay. But I can still be great.
It's pretty mature for a kid at your age, though, to have that realization.
I was a strange kid.
Yeah. So you thought about some deep things.
But yeah, I had success early on, and I guess no one knew if I didn't know if I was going to get back, but just kept chipping away at it.
As an athlete, like a young kid playing in rec ball and stuff, did you have high expectations? Did you know, like, you're like, man, I want to be different from everybody?
I wish I was as athletic as you were.
Yeah.
That's what I wished.
I just, yeah, well, we'll talk about that again.
I was a heady player. I was good, right?
Were you scared to fail ever, though, or no?
In football,
Just,
rec league.
like, I remember you saying you wanted to be different.
I don't know, man.
Or you just wanted, you had a goal and you was just going to figure out how to accomplish it.
I was terrified of being normal.
Hmm. So you had like an extreme drive.
Well, when you get into middle school, right? You either fit in, or you don't fit in,
Mhm.
and I didn't fit in. And me and Charlie McMullins didn't like that, so we went to the weight room every day in 7th grade, and I think that kind of helped us build some self confidence
Yeah.
and gave us a little will to grind.
So a little bit of adversity,
Yeah.
not fitting in, figuring out, well, I'm going to fit in somewhere,
Right.
and then figuring out your niche. Well, let's fast forward. So you had an opportunity to transfer into Athens High School, the big city of Athens, we'll say, from West Limestone, which was a 5A school. And, Coach Rivers was there, which is Philip Rivers, all pro, probably Hall of Famer. Dad was coaching at Athens High School at the time. Philip was playing there.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of notoriety, a lot of excitement around that program. And you approached Steve to come in and see if you had an opportunity to kick as a freshman, which is still phenomenal. But
Yeah.
you've moved up to competition level a little bit. You wanted to challenge yourself with it. Mom and dad probably wanted to get you more exposure because back then it wasn't really normal for people to get scholarships. They didn't have Huddle and all these things that are easily accessible where you can send
Yeah.
links. Like you had to send VHS tapes or
Oh yeah.
word of mouth or have a connection. So you go to Athens and we moved to Athens and all that. And was there a competition? They hand you the job as a ninth grader or what?
Yeah. So we came up and joined Athens in the summer before the fall season of my ninth grade. They had a really good team. They had kind of some upcoming upperclassmen. I think they'd went 10-0 the previous year.
So you're doing summer training with them to kind of blend in a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we actually moved and started doing the summer training, started integrating with the team, and just thought that would be a good place to get. So I got some exposure at West Limestone.
Mm-hmm. You got press for sure.
But we grew up going to Athens games. It's kind of a dream come true to play, at the big city school,
Yeah.
at least growing up where we did. And just had an opportunity. I think, they were welcoming to bring in another talented player to be an asset to their team. Was it handed to me? Heck no, wasn't nothing handed to me. They had some upperclassmen that kicked, and we competed for the job, and we were probably back and forth of who was better. But they kind of went with veterans deference in the first game and let him kick. And I think he maybe missed a couple or had a couple issues. And I think it was the second game I got inserted into the game of my freshman year at Athens that I got put in to kick an extra point, kicked a worm burner about 12 feet over the crossbar. Over the crossbar, though. It was good.
Counts the same.
Coach Rivers patted me on the helmet and said, "Hey, get that ball up a little bit." I said, "Yes, sir." And from then on, I was just drilling them down the middle.
And you had some good holders too, right? And snappers. And I mean, you had a whole production that really helped you be successful with the amount of commitment they had too, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had several over the tenure. I didn't really have one that stuck with me the whole time, especially being a ninth grader. They were always older than me. So, yeah, Lee Vickers was my initial holder, and he did backup quarterback, was great, did a great job with it. But they really embraced me and brought me into the team, and was able to be part of a really special group that ninth grade year. Went on to make, what did I make, 58 in a row?
I think it was 58 was the record, wasn't it? 57 was the record, maybe 58.
Yeah, so we were scoring like 49 a game. So that's 7 extra points. I mean, we were dominating local teams, and broke the state record for consecutive extra points.
As a freshman.
Yeah, but my 8th grade kicks carried over and counted, so that contributed to it.
Because you never missed one.
Correct.
Well, that's amazing. So you said a state record as a freshman.
Yeah.
All right. So you go into your 10th grade year. Did you do camps all along that summer as well, or did you take off? Or
No, I kept doing the at some point, it was between 9th or 10th, went to Auburn, won that camp, and really just had a pretty successful high school career. In 11th grade, got to start kicking them in the end zone. So that was kind of a nice.
It's a luxury for the defense for sure.
Well, it's an attribute from resume and for the team, right? To be able to kick it in the end zone, take that special teams play off.
Well, I remember you ended up with over 99 in a row, right? Extra points. You ended up being the highest scoring kicker in Alabama or something. What were some of the records you set through your high school career?
Oh man, that's a great question. We should have looked that up. So freshman year, I broke the
consecutive
standing points record with 58 extra point record
in a season, single season.
No, it's career.
Oh, okay,
so it carried over.
Well,
I believe.
And I think you had like, would you break 3 to 4 state records in your career?
So then I come back between my sophomore, junior, and senior year and break my same record of 58, and I broke it. We ran it up to 99 in our final game.
Just hammering some offense.
Yeah, over 3 years, 2.5 years. So I had 2 state records at that point, first and second place in consecutive extra points of 58 and 99. And I did not miss the 100th. I think we had a fumble going into the end zone in the final playoff game of my high school career. So
Gardendale.
Yeah, we won't name names.
Oh man!
But yeah, I mean, it was an awesome experience. Played with Phillip Rivers, Randy Vickers, Mario Stanley.
Man, there's a cool story I want to share. When y'all played Russellville, I remember being in the stands, and Russellville was one of our heated rivals. Not going to call them out on nothing, but they were a little dirty, and they'd probably say we're dirty, so that's fair. But I remember them specifically targeting you on kickoff. So they would come and try to hammer you to get you off your game a little bit. So what happened on one? One of those, on one of them, they hit you, right?
Yeah, and why was I kicking off in that game? That's a great question. Maybe the other guy was hurt or something.
Suggs had a concussion, I think. Was it Suggs?
Yeah,
Was it
so maybe he
Jonathan
had a
Suggs?
concussion. Something I was in at like a ninth, either a ninth grader or 10th grader
At Russellville.
at Russellville. It was 10th grade year, and so it's kind of hard to visualize. But I'm kicking off. Just envision the man to my right on the very end, 10 yards away from me. He's screaming down the line to earhole me.
And you're not paying attention.
No, I'm just kicking off.
So you kick it and you're watching bebopping around, Walmart shopping, as Jerry Davis would call it.
Yeah, Walmart shopping, and I get earholed, man.
And you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah. So, man, I was pissed. And kind of
Rivers got pissed, didn't he?
Kind of got a little wobbly after that. And I remember Coach Rivers telling Randy Vickers, you bait him into him again, you knock his butt out. I don't think he said butt, but you see where I'm going.
Yeah, donkey.
And sure enough, man, I went Walmart shopping again, and I trusted Randy Vickers, and he blindsided the guy in the ear hole that's about to hit me in the ear hole from the side. So,
I love that.
Long story short, he didn't do that again. I don't even know if he was in the game anymore.
I love that kind of stuff. You kick off, you kind of bait him back in, and Randy is behind him and ear holes him, basically. Yeah. And Randy's a local legend, too. He'd be a great guy to have on to discuss some of his
He was, just a horse of a running back.
As far as his athleticism. So, you have a great, successful high school career. You're valedictorian academically, Mr. AHS, All-State, pretty much checked all the boxes. Except for you didn't have the scholarship, right?
Right.
Where's the scholarship at? You're thinking, man, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. I'm winning camps. I'm academically eligible. Like, what's the deal, right? So give us a couple rundowns of what that recruiting experience was like.
Well, it started in 8th grade. I was getting letters from Georgia Tech in 8th grade. Started getting letters. And so in your junior and senior year, you take official visits and unofficial visits to colleges. So every Saturday, you're pretty much going to a college football game somewhere.
Yeah, I remember going to Clemson.
We went to Clemson. We went to Auburn, Mississippi State.
That Auburn game was hype. Damon DeVal was your boy.
Yeah, Alabama. We went to Vanderbilt. We went all, So you get on kind of the short list. You go to the camps, like, okay, you belong. You're on the short list. You can come up for official visits. And challenging thing about kickers, I mean, they're only going to scholarship one, every 3 or 4 years?
You're hanging on to them, right?
Yeah. You get a good kicker like Will Reichard this year for Alabama. He's there for 4 years, 5 years, and they're not signing another kicker. Maybe they will this offseason.
Sure.
So if you think about, hey, there's, I don't know how many schools in the Southeast? 30 D1 schools? Probably, 35?
Roughly off the top of your head.
So call it 36 for simple math. They're signing one a year, one every 4 years.
It's a big gap.
Yeah. You're looking at
what? It's not a lot of need.
You're saying 9 a year in the Southeast?
Yeah.
Probably including Texas too.
Well, tell me about a couple of your memorable, oh man, I was so close to getting that offer, but I didn't get it. I know Georgia Tech was one. You had a guy that was just bombing at camp there, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So that was back.
George Godsey, was that his name?
No, George O'Leary.
O'Leary, that's it.
I mean, it's just everything you think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So yeah, he invited us to a camp one summer, and I think there's about 6 of us there. And I don't know how this is even legal. I mean, it's like, hey,
so it's a tryout.
Hey, come to this camp. It was a tryout.
It's a special camp.
Though. It was an unadvertised camp, and it was me and kids from all over Georgia and South Carolina. And I remember kicking off, and he stands in the end zone, and he has a stopwatch. He's doing hang time and distance. And this guy, John Duraney, was bombing him, dude. Like, he was kicking him over the fence. He was kicking him out of the back of the end zone over the fence.
I remember seeing that cat. His
ball was
different.
I was like, man, I'm dropping him like 5 deep, and this guy's kicking it out in the parking lot.
Different level.
Yeah. And so I remember kicking. Then we progressed and kicked some field goals, and I'm draining those. And he told us that day, he's like, oh, yeah, by the way, you're kicking off the ground. You're not kicking off a tee today. You're in college. No. Yeah. So you're on the fly. I was like, okay. Just kind of deal with what comes. That's probably the second best one there behind that cat. He ended up signing at NC State. Coincidentally, played with Phillip Rivers.
Wow.
The
tail end of his career, probably.
I don't know that he didn't punt, kick, and kick off. That dude was amazing. Yeah. Senior year, so you're kind of talking about where's the scholarship. I was like, well, I got all this accuracy records, right? Mm-hmm. Extra points,
consistency,
points. Yeah. Where's the bomb? Where's the headliner?
So
right?
You're looking your senior year. You're looking at high school. You're looking to make that gotcha moment. Like, man, this is going to get me on the map.
Yeah. I think I had I don't know, at some point in my career at Austin, I had like a 43-yard or something. I doinked it off the crossbar, bounced back into play.
But you hadn't had anything to show your leg strength other than kickoffs.
Yeah, in the kickoffs, I mean, I probably put 90% my senior year in the end zone. So had it on tape. But late in the year, we were playing Coffee, which is now combined with Bradshaw, is Florence High School, is a combined school.
Yeah.
Back then, they were both 5A schools. So we're playing Coffee at home. We're beating them pretty bad. Going into halftime, had like 3 seconds left. Coach calls a timeout and gives me a shot.
So you're thinking,
I don't
think get many 50-yard attempts. Probably.
No, I was 51. So we're like on the 35, 36. Conditions were good. It wasn't raining, wasn't windy. It's just still cool night still. And I knew this was the one. You're not getting another.
You ain't gonna get many chances.
No, I mean it's like 7th, 8th game of the year. We're about to go in the playoffs, right? You're not goofing off in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This was just kind of okay. Well, let's give the kid a shot.
Right.
So man, they get out there. I think they called timeout, gave me time to compose myself, and I just remember snap coming, and I hesitated an extra count because I wanted to see the ball and I wanted to hit it solid. I wasn't going to take any chances of getting there too early. I wasn't going to take any chances of the laces not being out. I was like, they ain't going to block it. I got time. And I just remember just kicking it flush and probably made it 5 yards to spare or something.
So you hit the kick.
Made it. Drained it.
So you're thinking, this is my kick I can show.
Yeah, that was the one I needed.
Okay, so fast forward to your Mississippi State visit with Jackie Sherrill.
Yeah, so this is after the season. Yes, I'm kind of in no man's land after the season.
You have an offer, really. I mean,
no, and signing days in February. So you end the season around Thanksgiving?
Yeah, November, December.
So
we're probably December.
So we're calling, we're sending videotapes. Man, you're trying to get signed.
Yeah,
because signing day was early February. So we went to a Mississippi State, I guess, official visit, basketball game, and I remember Jackie Sherrill. He's like, we're going to go to the basketball game, but at so-and-so, 6:30, I want you to come by my office. My assistant will meet you there. He'll take you, whatever. So I knew he was serious. I was like, all right. And this is at Mississippi State, Jackie Sherrill. And we sit down in his office, and he pops my tape in. And he starts, I wouldn't say critiquing me, but like from a loving father coach standpoint, giving me some tips. He's coaching me up in his office. Like, well, coach, let's get to the chase.
Yeah.
You signing a kicker? Is it going to be me?
Yeah. What are we doing here?
And we get to that 51-yard kick, which I had early in the highlight film. I had 2 things on the highlight film up front. One was kickoff at Austin. Well, we must have had an updraft or something because I kicked it off the top of the upright.
I remember everybody kind of just stopped talking when that happened. It was like, I thought you had a 15-yard penalty because you hit it so far.
It was just a rare power fade. I just really never kicked it like that. But if you can ever see a kick bend right to left
to right,
if it starts out middle and it bends right, that's a power fade with a right-footed kicker. Very hard to do. But I did it on that kick. Hit the top of the upright. So really,
so you saw that on the highlight film with him.
Yeah, and then we'd actually circled it and stopped the film, said it hits right here. Look again. And then after that was that 51-yarder. So we're watching all this. He's like, that's a pretty good kick. What's next? 51-yarder. And his comment to me was like, you're a little slow. You're a little slow getting to the ball. And so I said, I know, but if I didn't make this kick, I wouldn't be in this office with you right now.
So what did he say? What did he say to that?
He just kind of laughed. He's like, you're probably right.
So you taking a little extra time purposefully. He picked up on that, but you also made the kick, which got you in the office.
Right.
That's a cool story there. So you came in second place there to somebody, right?
Yeah, I think there's a kid named Sheridan out of Mississippi State. They signed him out of state of Mississippi. He was good. I mean, I competed against him. We were probably about the same, but he's a local guy, and they signed him. I don't know that he ever played. I don't know what happened to him. So, yeah, I'm kind of scrambling. And Coach Creasy at this point is the coach. Phillip Rivers went to NC State. Coach Rivers went with him. So we're kind of talking to like Furman and Wofford and some 1AA teams.
Let's back it down.
That we had some relationships with. Yeah, because I want to I'm good at kicking.
Right.
I want to keep doing it. At this point, we were like.
A degree.
Yeah, I want to get free college education. And I think that's what my parents were thinking, that, several years prior to that. Hey, we've invested in this. You're good enough to do it. Like, let's see it through. And I was on board with that. So, and then one frosty.
Christmas Eve?
No, it was not Christmas. It was then one frosty end of December. We're watching these, meaningless bowl games that come
more
on.
Meaningful then, for sure.
Okay, edit that out.
Yeah.
But they also had the D2, D3, D1AA championships on.
I had Coach Gross on somewhere. No, he was before that, way before the
Nah, he was in the
90s.
early '90s. I mean, you should get him on here. I mean,
Oh, I'm gonna try. Once I get some established, episodes here, maybe
I
he'll
remember
jump
listening to
on.
the radio. It's like, is Cody Gross going to play? He's got a hip pointer. We don't know if he's going. Dude, it was the suspense was like out of a
And he
action
comes
film.
running out of the tunnel. Anyway, let's get back to where we're
Okay,
at.
where were we?
So we're looking for a scholarship anywhere. We're coming in second place at Georgia Tech. We're coming in second place at Mississippi State.
Yeah, being a
So
bridesmaid,
we're
man.
starting to be like, hey, hey, what's up, UNA? What's up, Wofford?
Yeah, I
What's
was
up,
getting letters
Sanford?
from West Point Army. They were interested.
You didn't know if you want to go to the Army, though.
I didn't know if I want to go that route. I knew nothing about it. No family history there. Illinois, I think, was ready to offer. I didn't want to. I didn't know anything about Illinois.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know where Illinois is. It's cold, probably.
Right.
Bama kind of offered me a preferred walk on. That was back when the Franchione was there. They really liked me, but they didn't have a spot. It was kind of like their kickers a
And
sophomore,
if
junior.
I'm not mistaken, though, they had gone through some probation and they were struggling to
Field a team.
well, not field the team, but to stay competitive with the scholarships they had to go to those important. And not to say kickers aren't important. I don't mean it like that. Linebackers, linemen,
Oh, dude.
quarterbacks, receivers.
I mean,
And they're thinking we can get a kicker to walk on.
I know my role. Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you
But
can't
that's
win
kinda
without a quarterback. You can't win without a left
So
tackle.
you think in a normal situation you had a shot probably.
Yeah, they invited me. I mean, they were all like, "Come walk on. We'll see where it goes." But I was like, "Well, I think I can earn a scholarship. Not deserving of a scholarship, but I'm capable
Well, if
of
there was
competing
anyone
at
in
that
the
level."
state more qualified to get one, it would have been you.
Yeah, there
how
you
many
go.
more you don't have an offer. And so it's getting late into December. You happen to see, Bobby Johnson on TV at Furman playing
Right.
a national championship, right? And
Yep.
so Woody Woodenhofer gets fired shortly after that. So how
There's
did you?
maybe he had already been fired after the season because that 1AA, that tournament lasts
Oh, that's
longer
true.
than Vandy wasn't in a bowl that year. So after they played in the national championship game with Furman, he was named the Vanderbilt head coach, and he had no recruiting class. He had about 5 weeks. I think he was hired in January. Had to have first week of February to recruiting class signed, and wasn't really left any tape or commitment or any information when he took the job. So they're scrambling to put a team together and a recruiting class together.
Just to put anything together.
Yeah, anything of what's left. You're in January. I mean, what's left?
Wow.
So we sent a VHS tape up there. I get a call from one of the coaches within a week, and they said, "Hey, we're having official visits this week, and we want you to come up." So I went up, spent the weekend in Nashville. I kind of toured the campus, meet the coaches. You get to see the stadium.
And you've done this before, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily expecting an offer.
Yeah, you're right. And you're just like, there's no way because hadn't happened yet.
Mhm.
And kind of culminated on Sunday. They take us to the Opryland Hotel and like, what do you think? And like, we want to offer you a full ride to Vandy.
Wow.
You want to be a Commodore?
I bet that was pretty cool.
And I just like shake that man's hand and say yes.
On the spot.
Yeah.
Don't show your cards that you don't have anything else. So
Yeah.
I'll be glad to be black and gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So that was just
I bet that was a relief.
a memorable moment for the family because I think mom, dad were there. You
I
came
was there,
up.
yeah.
Everybody was there for it. So
I was riding the coattails, eating the shrimp.
So
eating
all of
the
a sudden,
lobster.
I'm going from, thinking all along I'll play at Alabama or Auburn or wherever, and then it's like, man, I'm going to be at Furman. Nothing wrong with that, Wofford. I just had my eyes set on SEC, on D1.
Your aspirations were higher.
Yeah.
And so you got it, though.
But I got it.
And you got it. So that's a huge deal. You get ready to go up there. It's kind of like you got this country boy from West Limestone that, as an 8th grader, played with West Limestone on varsity. As a 9th grader, played on 5A Athens. You're probably not shocked to go to SEC ball. You're like, okay, it's just another challenge we're going to figure out. Was the training and stuff different getting up there? Was the environment different? Was the setup different for you?
It's the big leagues,
Hmm.
especially in the SEC. I mean, you're talking about top-notch facility, top-notch meal plan. I mean, days kind of scripted. You're going to class in the morning, coming over doing your weightlifting early afternoon, then we're practicing in the evening. So it's actually not bad for a freshman to have some structure in place.
Yeah.
But going into summer, I train and get up there. You really don't know what you're coming into, right? It's like, okay, they scholarship me. I'm probably the front runner.
Yeah.
You want to win the job. I mean, that's why I'm here. Win the job, compete, and help the team. But man, you get out there and there's about 6 kickers.
You're like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, and I knew they had some guys, upperclassmen that were there previously. with the Woodenhofer staff, and
Yeah.
so I competed with them and in the fall practice, and didn't really do enough to outpace anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of went with veterans deference there and let the upperclassmen start the season kicking.
So you redshirted.
Yeah, ended up redshirting that year.
What's it like as a freshman to redshirt?
Sobering.
Is it?
Yeah, so we have.
What's it like? I mean,
So in college, at least in college 20 years ago, Thursday night was the big go out party night.
oh well, yeah,
Right?
I was a fraternity guy. Yeah, definitely.
So
For us, it was
when you're a
Tuesday,
redshirt,
Wednesday,
so
Thursday, Friday.
and Friday, so separate story. Friday, when you're playing, you're traveling on Friday. If you're going to Georgia or Florida, you're just getting on the plane, you're flying out on Friday. But if you're not playing, they made us come in at 5 a.m. on Friday morning for power hour
Nice.
as a redshirt. So
they made you want to play.
oh yeah. So you talk about kicking you in the pants saying you want to get on the field or you want to keep coming to power hour.
So do you dress in the games? Or what is
No, I dressed one time that year for like
it?
homecoming.
So what do you do during games?
So they actually have restrictions. You sit in the stands with everybody else. I'm like, Rudy, I'm on the team. I'm on the team. No, they're like, well, why ain't you down there?
You're telling all your friends you're on a team in class, and then you up there eating popcorn with them.
That's right.
So you're like, man, this is embarrassing.
This is bullcrap. So I got the dress for a non-conference homecoming game against UConn. You know who the quarterback was? Trivia question.
Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, I think I remember that actually.
Okay, here's another fun fact. Matt Weiss was one of our walk-on punters who played high school against Dan Orlovsky. And he sat down with the D coordinator all week and gave him the script.
No way.
And we beat their tail.
Wow. Well, so after that
Sorry,
year,
Dan.
Yeah, sorry, Dan. So after that year, I think he's doing fine. So after that year, you come back into the summer, you're like, all right, I got to go get this job.
I got to go get it. So what we didn't mention is in my recruiting class, Greg Johnson came in to be the punter from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And that dude had a leg.
I call him Greg the Leg for a reason.
Yeah, big, tall, left-footed, just freaking smashed the ball. He wasn't so accurate on kicking, but he could drop bombs.
Yeah.
So he actually ended up kicking a lot when I was redshirting that freshman year. We were roommates.
Yeah.
He came from a successful high school program. I think we went like 2-10 that year or whatever, 2-9. He ends up transferring to Texas in the offseason between his freshman and sophomore year.
And I'm pretty sure he was on that Colt McCoy national championship team.
He was.
And kicked off or something.
He was, yeah. I don't know that he punted, but he did kick off. It was
a small world. I remember thinking, man, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
But so he transfers out, but he kicked some that year, I guess.
Yeah, he's primarily a punter, but at some point he did some kicking.
But he transferred out, so he's gone.
He's gone. So window's open, right?
So you're thinking, oh, it's easy peasy.
Yeah. But again, fall camp, you're competing against 5 other dudes. And Bobby Johnson ran a meritocracy. He didn't care what your accolades were. He didn't care if you're on scholarship. The best kid was going to play, period. And I really kind of admire him for instilling the culture he did at Vanderbilt.
He did it the right way.
He did it, and it took a long time. And a lot of the rewards, in my opinion, that were reaped after Bobby Johnson retired by the coaching staff after him was Bobby Johnson's culture and his recruiting class.
And so they're able to utilize and benefit from that.
Yeah. And they were nasty. But back to the story.
You're going into your second year.
Yeah, and I'm leading. I'm in front, and I'm competing with one other guy. And man, he's good. I'm good. He's from Oklahoma. One of those just powerhouse.
Is he a
he's a walk-on.
Okay, walk-on guy.
But he's good, man. But we just made everything. He made them all. I made them all. You know, and I wasn't backing down. I was hungry. I was like, I'm getting out of this red shirt crap. Yeah. I'm getting out of this sitting in the stand stuff. I'm going to get on the field. So I was hungry, man. And they still hadn't declared a kicker going into the game week, I think, which was Ole Miss. Eli Manning, Ole Miss.
Oh, wow.
And we competed on Thursday for the starting job.
Wow.
Playing on Saturday.
Sheesh.
And I had tweaked my groin and kind of had a mental, dilemma. Do you tell the coach, hey, my groin's tweaked, I can't kick?
And tapping out at that point, right?
You're tapping out. You're waving the white flag.
After all that hard work. So
I kicked through it, and I tore my groin pretty bad, probably like a grade 2 tear.
Not off the bone, but pretty bad.
It wasn't off the bone, but it was swollen like.
Really shouldn't be doing it.
No, shouldn't have. But it's kind of, long story short, in that competition that Thursday did not have a great day. It started out great and deteriorated. So he gets the nod as a starting kicker for Saturday. And that was a long road to get back. So, again, I think I dressed out for that game because I was like, I could kick if I had to.
You got one in you. You like that
Toby Keith.
Toby Keith song.
I could kick if I had
I
to.
got one in me.
But after the game, I remember coming into the locker room limping and take the ace bandage off, and it's black and blue and swollen.
Sheesh.
So that was a whole ordeal. So I got a groin tear. They tell the coaches, hey, he's out. He can't kick, probably 2 or 3 weeks. I think it ended up being 4. It took me a month. I mean, I'm talking about I'm on crutches walking around campus.
Wow.
So you know how campus is. Crutches, that's a long haul.
No, they didn't have the little scooters.
So guess where I'm sitting again? First game, second game, in the stands.
You better kick out of these dang stands, dude. He's like, I got a scholarship to play football, and I can't quit watching the games.
Terrible, dude.
So you're injured, and they put you back in the stands.
So I go to therapy, get in the pool, doing the leg raises, doing all the stuff. Miserable, mad, sad, depressed, angry, all the stuff. And I get back. First time I rode in a plane, back on to TCU, played them.
Okay.
And I remember getting out there, one of the best fields I've ever kicked on, by the way. It's like a fairway, about an inch, half an inch thick.
Like that California grass was all
it's beautiful. But I got back out there and it's like started kicking again. I was like, all right, I'm healthy. I trust myself. So that got me back available to the team.
Yeah.
Week after that, we go to South Carolina. And I think the kicker missed one, the one that was ahead of me. Missed the extra point. He'd been struggling all year. I think the heat got to him.
The pressure.
Yeah. So once I got back healthy, opportunity was there for the taking. Halftime of the South Carolina game, he had missed one, was struggling. It was a pretty tight game too. Coach Johnson comes over to me and is like, "Hey, you're the man the second half. You're in." It's like, okay, here we are.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
So you're like, it's my moment.
This is my moment.
Yeah, you're in on the field in 2 years.
Yeah, it's like, heck yeah. I'm out of the stands. I'm on the field.
Dude, William Bryce too, man.
Oh, crap.
I bet that place was like hopping.
It was, dude, they play the Space Odyssey, the Sandman. Like that place is an underrated, challenging place to play. It is loud. And it was at night too.
Golly.
So anyway, we score at some point, and I just remember being like nervous as crap. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm on the field. I hadn't been on the football field in 2 years. But I kind of flashed back to West Limestone. First time I got on the field. It's like, okay, I've been here. This ain't new. I've been here before.
Yeah.
Ball's the same. Uprights are the same.
So this, as you're jogging on the field, this is going through your head.
It's grace of God.
Yeah.
Putting peace upon me. I mean, because it's nerve-wracking, man.
I would imagine.
But you just got to get back to your core. What am I here to do? I'm here to kick the ball solid. And that's all I would think about. When I was going after the kick, you line up, you do your steps, kick the ball solid, kick the ball solid. I ain't worried about the snap. I ain't worried about the hold. Just kick it solid. Focus. So, drain it, baby.
Back.
I'm back.
Pat is back.
And
we're back.
So it was a tight game. It was like we're down 17, we score, cut it to 10, kick onside kick, get the darn onside kick.
Let's go.
We drive down and score again. And I got to go back in, kick the extra point, cut it to 3.
And you're thinking, I'm about to tie this bad boy.
And we didn't get the other onside kick, but it was a really exciting game. Pretty cool story. My great uncle, Wade.
Yeah, my granddaddy's brother.
Sorry, we go through this. What's a great uncle again?
Yeah.
But he lived in South Carolina. That joker's at the game. And this is before.
He's calling on probably the bag phone, right?
Yeah, this is before civilized internet. There was no, maybe serious. Anyway, you couldn't get the game online anywhere.
Well, I think Dad would have to drive up to Tennessee to get the Tennessee feed
on the
Vanderbilt
from Nashville FM radio, right?
Yeah, from Nashville. Yeah, because he would go hunting, but he was going to listen to the game.
Yeah, but think about my parents. This kid's been redshirted 12 games.
Oh, we weren't paying attention to that game.
No,
you weren't expected to play.
You probably having dinner on Saturday night.
So Wade's up there at the game.
In Williams-Brice. And you can pick up a story from here. I was kicking. I don't know.
He calls down to grandma's or something. And it's like, he's in the game. He's running on the field. And granddaddy's like, I can't hear you. I can't. What are you saying? He's like, he just kicked it through their uprights. And he backed up. And then grandma or granddaddy called mom and was like, Patrick just kicked. You need to find out and turn it.
So they didn't even know.
No, they didn't know, man. They didn't know what was going on. Mom was probably cooking dinner. But old Wade, he just wanted to get a picture of you on the sideline, and say hey to you. And here you are getting to do your first kicking in there.
And
So
no
how,
one expected it.
so how does the season progress from there? I know you go to Ole Miss next game. Is that right?
No, no, we went to the swamp.
Oh gosh, man, you had a brutal schedule, huh?
Still is.
Yeah.
We went to the swamp. I'm named the starter.
How's kicking in the swamp? Was that a different world?
Awesome, dude.
Was it?
It was a day game. You know, the 11 o'clock Jefferson Pilot.
Oh yeah.
Oh, if you can't get hyped to play in the swamp, I mean, we used to watch College Game Day on TV, right? I mean,
And here you are walking into the Orange Stadium, right?
it's like a dream come true.
Played it on NCAA football. Remember those? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, and you're on the game now. Yeah.
right. And you walk in there and you warm up, and it's like, this is stinking cool. And
Yeah.
that place is straight up.
Is it?
It is straight up. They're on top of you, man,
Wow.
like looking over at you. But I got my sea legs in that South Carolina game. Went into the Florida game really confident.
Yeah.
I think we're opening drive. We got down in field goal position, and I drained a 37-yarder.
Wow.
I played my hook, aimed it just inside the right upright, and it hooked right down the middle,
How does
baby.
it feel when you hear everybody going, "Oh," when it
So
goes through? Is that pretty cool?
That's a really interesting nuance of playing in Division I on the road. Is anytime you do anything good, the crowd goes silent.
So you have control over these.
I mean, even in
100,000
high
people.
school, you're on the road at Mountain Brook or
Just-
Gardendale. You still got a section of fans screaming for you.
So punch to the gut to them.
Yeah,
But you hear the little small like Vanderbilt
yeah,
contingent.
the little
over-
contingent. But yeah, that was really interesting. You drain one and the crowd goes silent.
That is pretty
And
cool.
like,
I always
wait
thought
a
that
minute,
was
I made
kinda neat.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. We're on the road. Okay.
So you did pretty good at Florida.
Yeah, made my kicks and finished out that year strong. I think I drained pretty much everything. End of the year, we beat Kentucky at home, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but they had Jared Lorenz and Derek Abney.
Y'all took the goalpost down.
They were a good team.
if I remember correctly.
We tore it down. I think we
remember.
lost 20-something SEC games in a row. Maybe that's why Woody was fired.
I remember my best friend Wes. We were in the parents section behind the opposing bench, which that's an odd place to put parents, but that's where they would put us. And Lorenzen would come off to the sideline after throwing a pick or something. And me and Wes would yell at him. He'd say he'd get on the headset or the phone and call up to the booth, talk to his coach, and Wes would say, "You calling in a cheeseburger, fatty?" or something, like just messing with him all game. He'd just look at him like shake his head because that was just a bad day for a Kentucky Wildcat. Y'all had their number, and that was a great. It was one of the biggest wins y'all had early on for you because y'all were kind of pulling out of
And
the
it kind of got Jay Cutler on the map.
hole there. Yeah, you're right.
He had a great game. I think we won 28-17. I remember kicking 4 extra points. It was cold and
Just a good day.
snowy. And it's just, we woke up that morning and knew we were going to win. You know, just the energy was there.
And then
So,
and the next week you're going into Neyland to take down the.
oh, we're going to go
Tennessee.
get them. So we go out there, and I think one of the Clausen brothers was quarterback, and then,
Probably Casey. I think it was Casey. Jimmy, I think, went to Notre Dame, right?
yeah, it was Casey.
Yeah.
Correct. So we're going out there to beat Tennessee. We got a little momentum.
Yeah.
Bro, they beat us down. It was 42.
Unmerciful.
No, I think it was 49-0 at halftime.
Oh man.
And we go into the locker room, and the fans are like, "Give us something to watch." Candy Built, calling us Candy Built.
Candy Bear.
Dude, I was so mad. They're just a
That's
superior, talented team than
That's
us.
embarrassing, brutal. Like,
And so they ended up beating us 56-0.
so you held on to that a little bit, probably as a Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah, we all did.
So next year you're coming in as a starter. I'm hoping.
Yeah, man.
Another fierce competition, probably.
Yeah, I went and worked with my kicking coach in the off season, and really, I was kind of self-taught most of my life.
Yeah.
Didn't have any organized
Just figured it out.
instruction. Went to the Carol White camps, picked up some tidbits, visited with her that summer, and she really helped on my form get me about 8 yards of distance, going from 52 to 60 yards,
Wow.
field goal range.
Just off mechanics.
Yeah, just off standing upright. You really don't. Anyway, I won't get into technical details, but it's amazing what a few little tweaks and things you can't see in the moment, and that a third party that knows what they're doing can really assist you. Because we didn't have a kicking coach at Vandy. You know, you're the kicker, go kick, right? I mean,
the offensive line coach kind of was over you guys in a lot of ways, right?
yeah.
So you're going into the next year.
Redshirt sophomore,
presumed starter after a successful year.
Yeah, I think they signed a kid out of Texas or Oklahoma, somewhere. That was pretty good. But I won the job in camp. It was, I remember my teammates congratulate me. It was in the newspaper. I didn't even know it, but it was in the newspaper. He had told some reporters like, yeah, Patrick's won the kicking job. So
That's awesome.
I was really I was maturing and growing, and understood what it took to be successful, and was just continuing to get better. And I was hungry for it.
Right.
So we go into that season, go to Ole Miss to open the season. I don't know if Eli Manning was still there or
I
not,
think
but
it was. It was him and Patrick Willis, wasn't it?
yeah, they had Patrick Willis. It was a good team.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, open and drive, go down, drain my 35-yarder. I was like, all right, I still got this,
Yeah.
And once you do it a few times, you do it in the swamp, you can do it in Neyland, you can do it wherever, right?
Right. It's just a kick.
It's me and the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. And you just really got to focus on ignore the noise, ignore the
chaos,
the forums,
yeah.
the talk boards. Ignore it's me and the ball. And I think in life, there's a lot, people could take from that. But
to control what you can control, kind of thing. Yeah.
But yeah, going to Ole Miss, drain that field goal. I remember at one point before halftime, we did a little water bucket extra point where you put all the linemen on the left side.
We're up 9-0 at this point.
Yeah, we were winning. We were doing good. Putting it on them. And so everybody's to the left except the holder, snapper, and the kicker. And we're kind of in a power I formation. And the idea was if they've only got one man over the snapper
and then a linebacker,
you got 3 on 2. Somebody can get in the end zone on a 2-point conversion.
Sure.
We'd run it in practice. We knew how to do it. We're never going to run it in the game.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like if they egregiously don't put anyone there, we'll do it. And so I'm taking my steps, and all of a sudden the ball snapped.
Oh man!
And I'm like, what the heck? Why'd you snap the ball? And I was like, oh crap, I got to run. So my job as the kicker was to be the pitch man. So I had to keep pitch relationship with my quarterback, who's now the running back.
Sure.
And I'm running to the pylon. Okay. And I thought we had it. And then I realized Patrick Willis was the one guy. Okay.
Oh, man. That's the X factor. Huh?
So Stephen Bright, he starts edging towards my pitch relationship pylons. He don't want to get crushed by Patrick Willis.
To you, yeah.
Yeah, so we're about 2 feet apart, and Patrick Willis tackled both of us. And we ended up landing on the first down marker and scratched my back up pretty good. But
don't run water bucket against an all-pro linebacker.
One of the best. He was so good.
Tackled you and the pitch guy. And
he got both 2 arms, 2 tackle, 2 guys. Yeah.
Wow. So y'all ended up losing that one, I think. Y'all lost that
in
game.
Overtime. So you kind of go back Monday morning quarterbacks, like we kicked that extra point, we win in regulation, right? So,
well, where do we go from there?
Well, that was kind of devastating to lose that game because we had built that momentum, right? Beat Kentucky and the previous year, and I'm trying to think back through that year.
Did y'all go to LSU that year?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of talk through some of the games that were memorable for me.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, so touchdowns for you. That'd be good.
So we played at home. I think it was homecoming against Rutgers.
Yeah. Greg Schiano.
Yeah. I kicked an early field goal, 37-ish. And then we got, right before halftime, 2 or 3 seconds left. We called the time. I think we called timeout so I could line up to kick a field goal before halftime. 44 yards, right hash, into the horseshoe, the closed in.
Yeah.
I guess there is no closed in anymore, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And snap it, put it down, kick it. Just drained it, man, right down the middle. And, officials waving their hands, and they're like, oh, he iced you. You called timeout, so you got to redo it.
Oh,
so just a tip on icing kickers, in my opinion, it does not work, especially if you let the kicker kick like I did.
It's a free kick.
It's a free kick. So it's like a free play for a quarterback throwing it deep.
So did that give you confidence after seeing it go through like that? You're like, I just need to do the same thing again. I'm good.
That's it.
Okay. And or if you had missed it right, you'd be like, oh, tweak it to the left a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I would not advise coaches to ice.
Yeah.
Outside of an extraordinary circumstance. So anyway, we line it back up. I drained that puppy again. And we run into halftime up big against Rutgers.
Did you give him the finger or what'd you do?
So I kind of pointed at him, gave him a little, and he kind of did like this and gave me a thumbs up. So me and Greg Schiano had a little nonverbal
that's funny.
Respect for one another in that moment. So it was kind of a cool story.
You had a good game at Navy, if I remember correctly.
We went up to Navy, played in Annapolis. Really cool place to play. Hit a 45-yarder up there. And
this is all the same season.
And I remember Jay Cutler saying something like, we got a kicker.
Yeah.
This dude's crushing. And I was kind of leading the SEC in field goal percentage and extra.
Well, I remember,
I was just
yeah.
making
It's like
everything. They're
first
like,
4 or 5 games, you were like,
okay, and I start getting media coverage, like our internal affairs media folks would be like, "Hey, media wants to talk to you after the game," or
yeah,
"Hey, you're second team All SEC this week," or whatever. Just
SEC Special Teams Player of the Week or something like
yeah,
that.
and
So you're starting to get some momentum
yeah, and I remember we went to Georgia, and it was freaking windy, crosswind across the whole stadium, and I think I went 1 for 3 on field goals that day.
just because of the wind and everything.
Well, not just the wind, but
Just tough environment.
I mean, you're kicking a 40-yarder into the wind, it's challenging. I didn't
Sure.
didn't make it, then so I kind of got in my head a little bit and really struggled to finish that year.
Hmm.
So started the first 2/3 of the season, as good as you could, and then
Kind of got the yips a little bit.
after that, yeah, I was like, oh, man, I thought I was getting all these accolades, and then go to Georgia and missing these kicks I should make, and
So when you're getting these yips or whatever that gets, is it mental? Is it like, what do you think it is? Like, because you were doing everything the same, but the result was different, right? That's what gets you.
that's the tough part. I think you think you're doing it the same, but you're not.
Hmm.
And I think, I've thought about this for years. I still think about what could I have done differently.
Yeah.
I think you just got to get back to the basics. You got to get back to your fundamentals. Doing the no steps, doing the one steps, and you just you got to get back to the basics. And I mean, it's not that you know how to kick, right? You just got to do it.
Right.
And it's challenging mentally, though, because I don't get 35 pass attempts a game.
Right.
And I don't get the air ball a couple. You get about 3 or 4 chances, and you got to make them.
You're in a spotlight. Yeah. I mean, there's no hiding, right?
And I'm not, you know, sympathizing for kickers. That's our job. That's what we
Yeah.
signed up to do.
Right. Well, so you start, sidewinding these things in the back of the line, and it takes a couple.
Well, they got over the line, but they weren't pretty. But
All
yeah,
right, so,
I missed 2 extra points in a tight game at home against Tennessee the next year. That
gotcha.
in my sophomore year,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it affected the result of the game, but too close for comfort, right?
Sure.
So
Well, so did you get yanked, or what happened at that point? Like, did you kind of ended the season back up, or did you kind of limp through the rest of the
no,
season? Or,
Tennessee was our last game, so
okay,
that was pretty much it. And there's a lot of uncertainty.
going into the next season, you're like, what's going on?
I was like, do I even want to kick anymore?
Hmm.
Like I was
It's
on
just
top of
messing
the
with you.
world, and then it's like kick great in practice and get in the game. I'm duck hooking them.
It's just messing with your head.
Yeah. So at some point though, I'm not doing the little things that I was doing. Remember, kick the ball solid.
Hmm.
Something was wrong.
Hmm.
I had lost my focus. But just keep chipping away at it and go back to work. And they had signed a kid out of Nashville, Bryant Hunfelt. He comes in, also I had all the accolades I had when I was a freshman.
Right.
He comes in and actually wins the job my junior year.
He's a good kicker.
Yeah. But probably the coolest thing about my junior year, remember 2 years ago, we went to Neyland
Right.
after beating Kentucky, lost 56 to nothing.
Hmm.
So I think we started off like 4-0. We went to Arkansas on homecoming. We beat Darren McFadden, that team with him and Peyton Hillis and
This
Felix.
is like Jay's senior year, right? Like, or whatever.
This is senior year.
Earl Bennett's.
This is
like,
Jay's
in their
senior
stride.
year. I forget what the schedule was, but we went to Wake Forest. They had a good team, and we beat them like 21-17. So we got the dub.
Yeah.
Is Vanderbilt going to actually be good this year? You
Make
got
a
to win
bowl.
the first game. You got to win the first game to
Yeah.
get to a bowl. So then we go to Arkansas. I think we were 3-0. It was their homecoming. They got Peyton Hillis, Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
We go in there and beat those cats
Everybody's
on
like, man, this
homecoming.
team's for real.
Yeah. So I think we won like 4 in a row. And then we hit this losing skid, man. I guess we lost 6 in a row. So you lose, but back then we played 11. So you got to win 6 and 5. You got to go 6 and 5 to get to a bowl game, which was our goal.
4-6 going into Tennessee.
Yeah.
At Tennessee.
Yeah. So, but we carried that chip on our shoulder from 2 years ago when they were calling us candy belts.
Mm.
Okay. In Neyland.
Yeah.
And Jay Cutler put that team on his back that day, him and Earl Bennett.
Mm.
I think that was Earl's coming out party.
It really was. You got him on the map.
And we went out there and beat those cats.
So tell me a little bit about your role in that victory, because it was actually kind of an unfortunate event that happened to Brian on like a kickoff return or something. He tore his
I think it was a
ACL.
punt. Yeah, so he ended up. So he was really good um, as a freshman. So he punted, kicked off, and kicked field goals.
Hmm.
Um,
So he gets injured trying to cover one.
he tore his ACL. He got juked out of his ACL
Wow,
on a punt return.
that
Right?
happens. So he's not the first.
No, he certainly ain't.
Won't
And
be the last.
at some point you're like, okay, I'm the backup kicker. I'm eating popcorn over there,
Yeah,
right?
you're like, I ain't kicked all year, man.
It's like a backup quarterback.
You're
You're
like, I
not
like
going in the game.
you got
You got your hat
yeah,
on.
holding the clipboard. Yeah,
Right. So I was like, holy crap! We're in a tight game. This is in the fourth quarter,
yeah.
and the score's within one
I
score.
think it was 17-14 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Y'all were
yeah.
down 3. So you're thinking, man, because I remember the announcers being like, I hate to be this guy. I kept showing you because you were going to have to be like the field goal kicker to tie it,
We were down 3. Yeah, so we were down 3.
or the extra point to put it out of reach.
Yeah, so we're down 3 late in the game. We get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driving to win, and Cutler's just peppering Earl Bennett down the sideline. I mean, like double cover, triple cover, didn't matter.
Yeah.
Down by 3, and I think we had a little minute and change left,
Mm-hmm.
and we ran double slants. Jay loved double slants, especially on the goal line.
Yeah.
So, as Ole Miss had Patrick Willis, Tennessee had Eric Berry, safety, and he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And Jay threw it in there anyway.
He just hummed it. My arm's stronger than your speed, basically.
And he beat him by a half step, and Earl catches it, and we go.
Earl had a circle in his stomach.
So we're up by 3. I'm relieved. I don't have to go kick a game-tying field goal from 35, 40 yards.
Right. You do have the opportunity to put it out of an easy field goal for them.
Yeah. So we're up 3, right?
Make them have to go score.
So we scored. We're down 3, score 6. We're up 3, and I'm running back on the field again. Hadn't been on the field in a minute.
Yeah.
And this is a big one.
Oh,
we're in Neyland.
So you feeling the pressure?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just try to center myself and. So me and the ball, me and the ball. But my last kick was against Tennessee the previous year, right?
Oh, man, yeah. Didn't end well, right?
Duck hook.
Yeah.
So I said, if nothing else, I'm not going to duck kick this ball. So those were duck hooking left, right? So I'm like, aim this in a little right. Just get it up. If I chop it, that's fine. It'll still go through. A little extra rotation, never killed anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking through all this stuff, and Jay Cutler smacks me hard as crap on the helmet. And he said, just kick the effing ball.
Did he?
Yeah, man. And
a little word of encouragement.
And I chuckled.
Yeah.
And it got me out of my head.
Yeah.
And boom, snap, hold, boom, put it up through there. Couple feet from the upright.
Not the prettiest kick, but it
on the proper side of the upright.
That was the Steve Rivers get it up a little higher kind of kick. Like it wasn't pretty, but it counted.
They don't draw pictures of them in the paper.
So then they go down. And they would have kicked a field goal, but obviously it was out of reach before.
Yeah, they drove down to about the 20. Got in field goal range. Obviously, it's irrelevant at this point. Pretty much run out of time.
Y'all picked them off. I think at the end they had to throw up a bad ball. So, well, what would y'all call that? Rocky bottom.
The newspaper, the Tennessean, called it Rocky Bottom, and I think that was Phil Fulmer's end of his tenure. Shortly thereafter that,
I think that was the demise of Tennessee, which I think last year may have been the first year they got out of that for a while. So that was some good memories, and I remember your last year against Tennessee, Coach Bobby Johnson gave you a little hat tip and let you go out and kick a field goal or something.
Yes, I got a lot of run against Tennessee, man. Come to think of it. Yeah, so my senior year, last game of my career, senior day.
Honfeld's still leading, kicking, and you're still kind of backing him up.
But we get down in field goal range late in the game. I think they were beating us, it was out of hand at that point. This is my senior year. He puts me in for about a 33-yard field goal to put a exclamation point on my career, just kind of out of respect. And Wes Brown's on the other side, grew up with him in high school and played with him. And he's playing for Tennessee at this point. And that joker's on the other side telling his boys on Tennessee, hey, y'all lay off on this one. Y'all lay off on this one. Don't rush. Don't rush. I just remember he walked back from the line. It was just took a play off. And
nobody even went, huh?
No, we put the snap down, kicked it, and I made the last kick of my kicking career.
Man, that's a pretty good storybook ending there. So, man, you've got quite the story. There's no telling the lessons learned, but how does that carry on throughout your life? You learn so many things through sports and through those moments. You started out a little different anyway with your mentality of analyzing things to be different, how to be different, and the things it took to be different. How does that move forward after you graduate? You obviously take that into the workforce.
Yeah, well, growing up in the South, loved football, wanted to play football, but I didn't have the stature to play,
Yeah.
right, at the highest level. So I found a niche and pursued that niche. And I don't know if I made it clear throughout the way, but nothing was ever given to me. It was all grind.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, you get a scholarship. Well, there's 5 guys competing with me every single year, and you got to be the dude. You got to earn it.
You're expected to be, right?
So I think that's something we can take with us too. It's like, especially in our society today in 2024, it's like, I'm entitled to this. I deserve that. Not in the real world, you don't.
Yeah.
If you want something great in your life, you got to go define what that is and pursue it to no end.
Yeah.
And and is it easy? No, it's hard.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wouldn't change a thing about it.
Well, I know I'm a Christian and you're a Christian. How would you say, looking back, I wasn't probably a Christian in college. Not sure if you were a Christian in college or not. That's more of your discernment. But would you say your identity was being a kicker, or do you think your identity was in Christ, but you kicked? Like you are a Christian, but you also kick. Just like we think now, I'm a Christian who's a dad. I'm a Christian who's a father. I'm a Christian who runs Sides Auto Body. Those are things I do. That's not who I am. But do you think that kicking was more of your identity to a detriment at that point, or do you think it was like you were centered enough you kind of knew that was just something you did?
No, you nailed it.
Yeah.
I was known in Limestone County in Athens City as the kicker.
Yeah.
I still see people and say, "Oh, it's the kicker."
Yeah.
20 years later.
Yeah.
And that was the wrong way to go about it. Yeah, I indulged in that. And I fed off that.
Do you feel like that put more pressure on you, though?
Absolutely.
Because it was your
That was my identity.
It was your kingdom, right? I mean,
and if I'm failing at my thing,
then you're a failure.
I'm a failure.
It defines you.
There's no separation from who I am as a person, who God made me to be, and the activity that I'm performing, and they're one and the same.
Yeah, and that's one thing I would encourage people listening. If you've got children going into sports, and I know we're trying to do that with our kids, because I did that as well on a much less, public level than you did. But I think a lot of us do this, especially in high school, what you do becomes your identity.
Yeah.
Instead of you being who you are, centered in Christ, that plays football, that is a that plays basketball.
And you take those principles of love for your teammates, respect for your coaches, and you take those Christian values to those things, to your workplace, to your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And rather than me being the center of attention and needing the strokes, of attention, that was the wrong way to go about it. And I guarantee you I would have been more successful and had less pressure if I had my priorities in order. Yeah, I think you're 100% right, because you miss a kick, that's not the end of your world. You're like, okay, let's go do I did the best I can.
Let's do the best we can the next time.
At least the mental piece is kind of stripped away. Right?
Because you had the athletic talent. It was sometimes that was overbearing. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the John Cast. We covered a lot today, and hopefully it's quite encouraging to hear your story. I mean, you could write a book. It would be something I would read for sure. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. Well, hey, it was really good to kind of talk back through some of those memories, and enjoyed sharing some of those memories with you, along the way. Maybe leave them with your Bargain Jungle story. That was one of my favorites. So Pat's kick at Tennessee. I'm working at Bargain Jungle. I'm putting furniture together, putting beds together. I'm trying to make ends meet. And we had this little 8-inch rabbit-eared TV that was black and white, and it barely got Jefferson Pilot Sports. And I see them showing this guy through the snowy video on the screen, and I was like, "Is that Pat? What is he stretching for?" And I hear him say, "I'd hate to be that guy." And then it showed Brian Hunfeld with ice on his knee, limping around the sidelines. And I thought, this mug's about to go in. And I looked at the score, and they're down 3. I said, "Oh shoot!" My heart started beating. My adrenaline kicks in. I'm like, this mug about to have to kick a tying field goal. Neil, I ain't even gonna watch this. Well, they go down, they hit the Earl Bennett slant like you talked about, and I thought, Pat, you got to put it out of reach, man. You got to hit this extra point, put it out of 3 points, because if it's a 3-point game, they're going to go tight and beat you on overtime. Oh, absolutely. That's what I was thinking. No doubt. You got to make it as hard as possible. Yeah. And this mug went out there, and as he was lining up to kick the extra point, over the intercom system, Pam was the lady that worked there at the time. She said, Jonathan, I need you to deliver these bar stools up front. I got a sale. And I said, I'm busy. I'm watching my brother. So I sat back here and watched you shoot it through the uprights, and then I went and delivered my bar stools. But
That's great.
we were all kind of like the weight game. We were all caught off guard a little bit, but it ended up
Yeah, I'm not starting, right?
but it
Parents,
ended up being a very impactful game. And I imagine you celebrating, it made it celebrating a lot more impactful for you because you had a huge part in that game, you know, to help
right.
seal it off and help your boys finish it off.
And that's the first time we'd beat them in 25 years or something. Like, it was
yeah.
big for the Vanderbilt community.
That's a game they still talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know. But we'll have to go. We'll have to get you back on and talk about some of your other things down the road, your F3 and T-ball coaching and some other things you got going on.
Yeah,
So,
I'd love to do that. Thank you for having me on. Really enjoyed it.
yeah, I'm glad you could come on.